for it.
For those who don't know me, my name is Chloe Hamilton, and for the Public Allies year of 2014-2015, I was at the Free Store Food Bank. I'd first like to start off with some points of a snapshot of success for me for this year. Through September through June, I saw 10,858 clients. I served them with assistance such as emergency food assistance, bus passes for new employment, clothing assistance through our Back on Track room, as well as giving them vouchers to St. Vincent de Paul, and also helping them obtain their birth certificates for in-state and out-of-state, and IDs. With these services, I helped them ultimately achieve stability. Another big effort I had was my coat day. In November, over 200 households were served, and since then, 642 coats came in from 13 different organizations. And then the last part, which will encompass the rest of my presentation, is basically my personal transformation through this year. And I'll be sharing different reflections that display my perseverance, determination, and compassion for this year. With each passage that I'll be reading, I have a quote that basically encompasses that for me. This first one comes from my first month in September. When I first started using the computer program to serve clients, I thought that I knew what I was doing, but honestly, I was not prepared for what was to come. I struggled a lot my first day and felt defeated when I didn't do as well as I expected to do and was treated harshly by clients. That night, all I could think about was if I was really cut out for this line of work. The next day, I tried to brush off all of those negative feelings and tried my hardest to overcome my shortcomings of that first day. Thanks to support from my coworkers, I got the hang of using the system, and in no time, I was seeing clients on my own and excelling. I'd also like to add an experience with a client which really touched me and showed me that I was in the right line of work. I spent a lot of time with this client, hearing her story and finding ways to best serve her. She told me that she had been laid off from a corporate job and that she was a widow. The following day, she was going to start a new job and did not have any transportation. With the proper paperwork, I confirmed that she was employed and was able to give her bus passes to get to and from work. Her spirit truly touched me. She shared with me her religious beliefs and faith that she had that things would get better for her. She told me many times how thankful she was for the help I gave her. She had asked for my supervisor's information to tell him how happy she was with the services. When I was done, she shook my hand and thanked me for making a difference in her life that day. I saw her the next week to give her more bus passes, and she filled out a form for recognizing me for my work. After meeting her, I saw how important my work was at the Free Store Food Bank and how important it is to treat each client I see with the utmost respect. This first reflection really illustrated those first obstacles I had my first month and how I overcame them and really found meaning in my work. This next one comes from January 2015. My aha moment this month was when I began to have some clarity with my path after Public Allies. One day my supervisor asked me if I had thought about becoming a fellow and doing a second year. I was honestly caught off guard and really hadn't thought about it or thought of it as an option for myself. This made me start to think, though, about the prospects of doing a second year. Thus far, I've loved my time with Public Allies, both at my placement and time spent with other allies in my team service project. The more I've thought about this, the more I see it being a viable option for myself. During a reflection exercise, several of my team members expressed that they could see me in a teaching position. I never really thought about myself being a teacher or being in a role of giving guidance to others. I've realized, though, that I would like to see how I would do in a leadership role such as being a fellow. I feel that I need another year before I go to graduate school and would love to stay at my placement and with Public Allies. The bigger picture is becoming clearer for me, and I think that I have a better handle on where my life is going. January was really a pivotal time for me, and everything was starting to click, and I thought that I saw one of my regular clients who would come in every 2 weeks to receive a homeless bag of non-perishable foods and other products. He was in his early 20s and had been living in vacant buildings and on the street for a long time. He suffered from a mental illness and was not getting much support or stability in his life. When I saw him on this day, he informed me that he had an appointment with a housing program to get into a group home until he could find permanent housing. He had no way to get there and asked me if I could give him bus passes. Going by my placement's policies, I knew that I could only provide bus passes for new employment. I explained this policy to him, but told him that I would talk to my supervisor to see if an exception could be made. After telling my client this, he didn't seem very hopeful. I explained to my supervisor the client's situation, and he allowed me to give him bus passes to get there. My client was very pleased when I told him this, and I too was excited for him. A few weeks later, he came in and told me that he was able to get into the housing program. The following Monday, he would be moving into the group home and ultimately finding housing. This has been one of the moments where I felt like I made a difference. Seeing someone on their way to gaining stability makes my job worth it. And this reflection for me just really illustrated one of those times, like I said, where I felt like I made a difference, and just one of the snapshots of the client that's been served by the Free Store. This last one comes from May. The month of May was a whirlwind for me. It started out very rough, and it seemed like the stress that I was under would not ease up. I unfortunately had a falling out with a family member and became very stressed and distraught over this. The high volume of clients I saw in May did not make this any easier for me. I felt very overwhelmed, and like early on in the program, I questioned myself again if I could handle my job. Thankfully, I was able to get through this. Early on in May, I had applied for a second year of Public Allies as a fellow and waited all month to hear if I had been granted the position or not. With all the stress I was under, I feared that not getting the position would be the tipping point for me. I'm happy to say now that I have been granted a fellowship, and I'm very overjoyed. I'm very thankful that I did not give up on myself, and I had people close to me, including my mother, and coworkers who pushed me to not give up. So May just really instilled faith and confidence in myself, and it showed me that all of my stress was worth it during those months, and that giving up can never be an option for me. So I just want to say thank you to my mom coming, and also my supervisor and my protege back there sticking up for me for while I've gone.